in this opposition as a humanitarian leader. Our goal is to coordinate 8 responsible or responses to natural disasters and conflict, like we have them here, like the Red Cross, and then advocating for refugees' right and protection. We have all those years. I don't know how it is because I've left Africa for over 2 decades right now. Those are some of the things that humanitarian diplomacy does, and then above it all, facilitating access to healthcare and education in the crisis zone, like we have in north of Nigeria and other in Cameroon, where the problem are elevating, they are going higher and higher. What can we do? The humanitarian diplomacy should be increased as much higher than political diplomacy.
All right, thank you for that thought, for that insight. So we've talked about ethical leadership, we've talked about women, and of course you've been able to speak to diplomacy beyond politics. So I would like us to wrap up with this question. If you were advising young women aspiring global leadership, what 3 principles must they embody?
My advice to the young women, that one is something I really like coin it, and I just want to read it the way I wrote it. I don't want to talk like giving you, I put it down, and I mean, when you did the introduction, I'm a woman that prays, and I'm like, Father, I'm coming to this meeting. I don't even know what they'll be asking me, but I need to give a word to the generation of today that we are. My advice to all our young people is strictly on us and the world at large, and especially leadership, empowering the next generation. To all the young girls, women out there, you should remember one thing: you are made for more. Education is the key. So study hard and pursue your dream. You are a multitasker. You are an inventor and a leader. You are unique in your own way, unique in your strength, which will shape the future of our nation. As women, we are wired differently. We are not wired the same and like human beings, but we are wired differently. We can juggle multiple rules, responsibility, and ease. Nothing will stop us. Imagine what you can achieve in leadership position when you are given that position and you have been educated. You can transform our community, nation, and worldwide. So I believe in you and you believe in yourself. I encourage each and everyone listening to this program, we should support one another and never give up. You are capable for greatness. Just like you have some example of some aspiring women in this team. You have Dr. Mae Jemison, the first African-American woman in space. You have Dr. Waringa Mathia, Nobel Peace Prize for environmentalists. You have Dr. Cynthia, a climate scientist and NASA researcher. These are the kind of women we are looking for, our young girls and women who are still asking questions. Do I have a voice? Do I have a place in the leadership? And this is my quote I will leave for you all. A woman is a force of nature, powerful, resilient, and unstoppable. Believe in yourself and your potential, and you will break forth. As Dr. Brooks has not given up in her life struggle, you too can do more than that. Take time and study who you are made up of, and don't give up and don't say no. I can't stand maybe my height, maybe my voice, maybe it has nothing to do with any of those. You are a trailblazer for breaking grounds and making a difference. Take hold your decision. Take hold what God has put in you. Take hold what you see yourself to do. And I say this time and again, every time you wake up and you do something without stress, know that that is your gifting. There is not much I can tell you, but I want to tell you, you are made for more, and this is your time. Rise up and take your rightful position on this planet that we all are living. God bless you all.
Thank you so much for that words of wisdom. Thank you for that inspiration. Yeah, so I appreciate you. I want to say thank you for your time. You've been able to contribute a lot. Tell us your thoughts about ethical leadership, women parity, and of course, you've been able to speak to diplomacy beyond politics. And we are saying thank you for your time. Thank you for cutting your sleep.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, and that's it. So we'll be bringing the program to a close for today. This is Across Borders. We want to say thank you to everyone as we hope this conversation on ethical leadership, women parity, and diplomacy beyond politics has inspired you and offered fresh perspective on leadership, integrity, and global collaboration. A special thanks to you again, Professor Florence Brooks, for sharing your valuable insight with us today. Remember, migration, leadership, and development touch all our lives. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged. And don't forget to follow us via all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV. I am Grace Komolafe. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time on Across Borders.
Migration is one of the oldest stories in human history, a story of search for opportunity, safety, connection, and dignity. Across continents and centuries, people have moved to join families, find work, study, escape conflict, and build new lives. Today, migration continues to shape the world in powerful ways. Each year on December 18, the world marks International Migrants Day, a day proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in 2000 to recognize the growing number of people who live outside their place of birth, celebrate their contributions, and draw attention to the challenges they face. The day advocates strongly for safe, orderly, and humane migration and respect for migrants' human rights. According to the latest estimates, there are about 304 million international migrants worldwide. That is nearly 3.7% of the global population, nearly double the figure since 1990. Nearly half of all migrants are women, illustrating the gendered nature of human mobility. International remittance, the money migrants send to their families, have risen dramatically over the past 2 decades, reaching an estimated $831 billion globally, with most flows going to low and middle income countries. Conflict, climate change, and humanitarian crisis have pushed more than 117 million people into displacement at the end of 2022, including refugees, asylum seekers, and others in need of international protection. Tragically, thousands of migrants lose their lives each year while attempting to reach safety. Recent tracking shows nearly 9,000 migrants lost their lives in 2024 alone, with the real figure likely higher due to underreporting. According to Grace Komolafe, who put this report together, International Migrants Day is a reminder that behind every statistic is a human being, someone seeking safety, dignity, opportunity, or simply a chance to rebuild their life. It is about human lives, families, hopes, and challenges. Migrants are essential to economies and societies, yet too often they face exploitation, discrimination, health barriers, and dangers along their journeys. Annual observance by organizations such as United Nations, International Organization for Migration (IMO) and World Health Organization (WHO) focus on themes like health access for migrants, integration into host societies, and governance of safe migration pathways. In 2024, the WHO underscores the importance of migrants' rights to health care at every stage of their journey, a recognition that health is central to dignity and protection for people on the move. This year's theme, Migrate Story, Culture and Development, highlights how human mobility transforms our world, enriching communities, inspiring innovations, and driving sustainable development when migration is rooted in dignity and respect for human rights. Globally, migrants play a vital role in labor markets, filling skill gaps, driving innovation, and fueling economic growth. Yet, many continue to experience harsh conditions, discrimination, unsafe travel routes, and limited access to service and protection. International Migrants Day is both a celebration of contributions and a call to action to build systems that protect rights, reduce vulnerability, and support inclusive society. International Migrants Day invites the world to reflect on human mobility with empathy and solidarity. As the world grows more interconnected, the protection of migrants through safe migration pathways, access to basic service, and respect for human dignity remains essential to achieving peaceful and equitable society. Praise Matthias, SOUQ News TV.
From Dubai to Lagos, Nigeria, and across the globe, SOUQ News TV is your #1 station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to SOUQ News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines. From breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, we deliver content that connects you to the world. At SOUQ News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQ News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQ News TV, your home for business, economy, and development.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. African Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
In Nigeria, when you hear technology, innovation, and e-commerce, then you begin to think of the 21st century visionary leaders who have availed us the luxury of connecting with the world without leaving our spaces. Nigeria, alongside some other developing countries, has occupied the tech space, networking and making a brilliant impact around the world, all thanks to people like LSK. I am Grace Komalafe. Join me on the Corporate Maverick as we unveil the journey of a foresighted leader who foresaw the transformation of technology decades ago. The year 2001, known as the third millennium, stands out for some individuals. It was thought like every other regular year to some people as they express the excitement that comes with experiencing a new millennium. While many carry on with the feeling of entering the 21st century, some visionary individuals saw it as a strategic period to bet their thought-provoking plans and business goals. Among these visionary leaders and innovators is Leo Stan Eke, founder of Xenox Technology, bringing this tech-oriented company to life in 2001. How much do you know about this tech and business-driven giant? Who is Leo Stan Eke? Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke, popularly known as Leo Stan Eke, is one of Nigeria's dynamic and influential figures, an African entrepreneur born into the family of Ihentuge Eke on February 22, 1956 in Imo State, Nigeria. His mom, a dietitian, and dad, a nurse. His root is traced back to Ubonmiri Mbaitoli, where he was raised in the household that valued education and hard work. His parents instilled in him the values of discipline and perseverance from a young age. It was within this nurturing environment that Eke's entrepreneurial spirit began to take shape. Like many visionaries, Dr. Eke's journey to success was paved with academic excellence. He attended Holy Ghost College in Owerri for his secondary education, where he honed his intellect and ambition. Eke's dream of becoming the biggest transport company owner in Nigeria changed as a result of his encounter in India, where he had his university studies. It was a turnaround moment in his life. In India, he pursued a Bachelor of Science degree in economics from Punjab University, and the exposure to India's vibrant economy left an indelible mark on him and then tilted towards more realistic business ideas. This led him to get full involvement into ICT.
So I'm a very good testimony of an African who started from nothing okay, and got somewhere, not there, right? Okay, so in summary, I came in here first of all to the University of Nottingham, or Nottingham University. I was in Cork City University, where I was doing computer science, and I wanted to specialize in user interface as a postgraduate course. Okay, and the system, which I'm sure still exists in the UK, that you have university chancellors who observe you in classes and direct you properly. And they thought since I was going back to Africa, there were no computers. And if I got there, I could be frustrated for another 32 years. So they discussed with my parents, and they wanted to know if I could stay in the UK and continue computer science. I said, no, I was going back to Nigeria. I have passion to change the country, and by extension, the continent.
He later went on to earn a Master of Science in Risk Management from the Exton University of Nottingham, England, further enhancing his acumen in the field. With his tech startups dating back to the 80s, AK can be put in the bracket of visionaries who saw that ICT would define the world in no distant time. His ICT Solutions company commenced operation in 1989, focusing on desktop publishing and computer graphics. Over the last 3 decades, the company extended operations from Lagos to Port Harcourt and Abuja, implementing several ICT projects across the oil and gas, telecoms, manufacturing, and public sectors.
I started small, like any other entrepreneur you read today. Okay, some started in a garage. Okay, most of them didn't inherit wealth. Now, so how could they have started? You start with your own. During our time, you have to start with your own sweat. Okay, until you build such, get to such a level with a system and structure in place. And then people trust you. But because our kids today pass through business schools connected to people, okay, and they now want to go from average above. You understand? Instead of starting, a lot of us started from -1.
Leo Stan Akers' major hits into the business world commenced with the establishment of SOUQ Technology Limited in 2001. With a fervent desire to contribute to Nigeria's technological space, he embarked on a mission to manufacture computers locally. Now a world-class ICT company providing innovative products and solutions. Under his leadership, SOUQ Computers have emerged as a trailblazer in the industry, earning accolades for its quality and innovation. One of his notable achievements was the attainment of the Windows Hardware Quality Lab Testing (WHQL) certification, showing SOUQ's commitment to excellence. In 2013, the company made headlines with the launch of its computer tablet line, ZPad, marking another milestone in its illustrious journey. Dr. Akers' entrepreneurial prowess extends beyond the realm of technology. In 2018, his company SOUQ made waves with the acquisition of Konga.com, a leading e-commerce platform in Nigeria. This landmark deal underscored Akers' strategic vision and his unwavering dedication to driving innovation in diverse sectors. Konga.com was founded by Sim Shagaya in July 2012 as a third-party online marketplace. 99% of its shares were acquired by SOUQ in February 2018. 3 months later, Konga merged with SOUQ's retail outfit Udala to form the biggest e-commerce company in Africa, retaining the brand name Konga. Leonard Stanley Ake also founded BuyRightAfrica.com Limited in 2008, at a time when credit card and e-payment infrastructures were still strange to many Nigerians. He did this to resolve funding issues for ICT projects and companies. He partnered with international financiers to help Africans acquire technology and compete globally. Some other of his establishments are Technology Distribution Limited, Tax Direct Limited, and iTech Solutions. He is involved in ICT Brokers and ICT Connect.
Okay, but mine had a call. I had a call on the tech sector.
and I've been consistent. And if you remember, my first step was to deal with the doubting Thomases, the media people. And it was like an evangelism. If you prove your worth to press people, to media people, because these are the critics of our time, then they follow you. You get to your destination faster. So when I did the whole media houses, transitioning them to digital economy through digital processing, through from typesetting to desktop publishing, computer graphics, okay, and multimedia. Then they started spreading the news. But again, we had to enhance that profile to the corporate world so that people can run offices with data analytics to guide them on advice, projections, okay, and where they're headed to. And then even our election. Okay, so today there would have been crisis in the economy if elections don't have facts and figures. And we did that with the DDC, and then did authentication with a card reader.
If you've come this far, kindly like, comment, and share. Throughout AK's career, he remained committed to empowering others and fostering socio-economic development. His philanthropic endeavors and advocacy for youth empowerment reflect his belief in the transformative power of entrepreneurship. He launched the Computerized Nigeria project in August 2000, thereby encouraging development and the use of computers. He also launched the Can I scheme, providing affordable laptops to young Nigerians with a repayment plan of 24 months window. AK's foundation furthers his charitable efforts, supporting various causes with different donations across the country.
Now, I see entrepreneurs trying to live big. Are you with me? Yeah. Okay. I see entrepreneurs trying to show off. You must have incubation period. Every successful entrepreneurs are seen to be stingy because they know the value of every dollar spent. But they use the same money to sustain the society. Okay, so I just want to advise Nigerians here. I see a lot of you startups now selling debt. It means technically you are leaving the company. And if I'm an investor, I watch your lifestyle. First of all, I see an entrepreneur, Nigerian entrepreneur, he hasn't started, he has an expensive car. Entrepreneurs, startups don't drive the best cars. They hide until they emerge.
He was bestowed with the Icon of Hope Award by former President Olusegun Obasanjo on October 1, 2002. He also got Nigerian Science and Technology Achievers of the Year 2003 and Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria OFR in 2004. AK is also a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and holds a life membership, Nigeria Institute of International Affairs. He also holds an honorary doctorate in business administration from Imo State University, Owerri, Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and the University of Jos. He is a fellow of the Lagos State Polytechnic, Lagos, Federal Polytechnic, Ida, and Federal Polytechnic, Nekede, Imo State.
Leadership is big crisis in the third world. Big subject to discuss. I don't have a complete answer, but as an entrepreneur, I can create platforms for you to decide who should be your leader. But my interest is that I'm excited with this 21st century because this is the only century God did not create any person to be poor. In the past, many were called and few were chosen. In 21st century, many are called and many will be chosen. But you have to decide if you want to be one of those to be chosen.
Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke is married to Chioma Eke, the CEO of Technology Distributions Limited, TD Africa, and together they have raised 3 sons and 2 daughters who are doing well in their respective fields of endeavors, just like their parents. As Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke continues to chart new territories and inspire future generations, it speaks to the limitless potential of the African entrepreneurial spirit. With his visionary leadership and unwavering resolve, Dr. Eke embodies the essence of innovation and resilience, creating indelible marks on Nigeria's business in Africa and humanity. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke.
My name is Shino Gbadegeshi. I'm the CEO of Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Harton Kene. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
Okay, as you know, my name is Babatunde Jala Ipega. I shortened it. That was part of my journey to Baba Jala Ipega. I was born here in Lagos, just a stone throw away from here, in actually Lagos Hospital here. And I was expelled from school. I went to Corona Ikoyi at the age of 6. My teacher, who I found to be quite unjust at the time, made us all stand, and I remember this, even though it's like almost 45 years ago. But I remember standing outside Corona School in the heat with all the students in my class because one boy had done something and no one owned up. So I found that quite unjust that all of us had to suffer. So I picked up a stone and I threw that stone at my headmistress's glass and it broke her window. She told my parents, and my parents weren't very happy, of course, but they realized that I wasn't meant to be in a school like that here. So the teacher actually asked me to leave, and my parents took me to England. They said, take this child to England. We can't control this child here. He's a wild fellow. So as soon as I got to England, I went to Tunbridge Wells in Kent. I went to school there, and it was the most cold experience I've ever had in my life. I was 6.5 going to 7, and I went to boarding school at that age. And I think that woke me up in life straight away, that even in comfort, you still have steel. And by that I mean that everyone would think, oh, you are lucky, you went to England at 6, 7. But I was very young. I was put in a dormitory with children from England, from Japan, from Saudi Arabia. We were all very young. There was a lot of crying in the dormitory, 12 boys, 6 on each side. And the room was very cold. I remember the cold. But one other thing I got to learn was rugby. And through my life, rugby and learning to deal with my condition and environment has instilled a strength in me. And as we know in Nigeria, you have a lot of things that happen that are out of your control, but you have to find a way to evolve and adapt. And I think from the age of 6, 7, I was very lucky to have that. I went to the oldest school in the world called King's Canterbury, started by St. Augustine in 598 AD. This was the secondary school I went to. And my life seemed pretty, what they say, gold-leafed at the time. Everyone's like, you enjoy, you're in Nigeria, you're in London. I learned to speak Spanish. Unfortunately, I lost my Yoruba, but I'm trying to get that back. I learned to speak Spanish and French. But at the age of 17, my father had a stroke, and he was working too hard, obviously. And sadly, my mom and dad had split up by that time. So my whole life that seemed so rosy stopped, because my father's business partners, all of them somehow took the business and it went away. And from that going away, we were left destitute. My dad was in a coma for 3 months, and my mother, who wasn't working, because my sisters and I have 2 lovely older sisters, Yewande and Gigi, we were still in school. So much so that my last year's school fees were not paid. But one of my uncles kindly paid for my school fees, and my mother had to go to work. She started her own business. She too was a journalist, Mrs. Ibiene Epega, but she started a chauffeur driving company and started using cars to drive people with her staff. So from that age where I thought a university was going to be given, I was left floating in the abyss because we didn't have financials. So for 1 year I had to work in a post office in London, and it was quite an eye-opener for me, but it didn't stop me from adapting. And again, adaptation helped me grow. So from being in a very wealthy family as a young man, coming to the age of 17 to become an adolescent, grown up, I realized that nothing is given. My father sadly was in a stroke, and when he had that stroke, he became semi-paralyzed. For another 30 years, he was semi-paralyzed. But my mother died quite soon after that time in a car crash on the road to Warri, because my Okrika side and Warri side is where my mom was from, even though my father was Ijebu. So my mother died at the age of, when I was 21, which was 20 actually, when I was starting university. And my father was semi-paralyzed. So I became the father of the family, even though my sisters were older and far more intelligent than me. But being the man, I had to take control of a lot of things. And I think that's what really gave me the tenacity to understand that I really need to be someone who doesn't just walk in one field. I need to spread my risk. From my university, I did mathematical economics and Spanish. I was able to go to University, Queen Mary College, London University. And from there I finished. As I said, I worked again. So I worked before I went to uni, and then I worked afterwards. And for me, life is about collaboration, communication, and tenacity. And I think that those were my first 21 years. There were less people in Lagos in those days. I won't lie. I grew up every summer and even Christmas where we could afford it. Back in my day, 1978-79, Naira was 0.8 to £1. So you can understand that people were very wealthy. I think in those days there was like 40 million people. It wasn't that much of it because my dad was an estate surveyor. So we used to, and he was one of the surveyors that gridded Abuja when it was being built during the late 70s, 80s with Obasanjo, and even before Murtala Mohammed. They were gridding it, and Lagos was, shall I say, Abuja was made the capital, and Abuja is a model city of Milton Keynes, which is a model city of Paris, just like Brasilia in Brazil was changed from Rio de Janeiro as a capital. So for me, coming back to Lagos was a joy. I enjoyed it because I was young. We used to just run the streets on our bicycles and cycling, just exploring. Everything was open. There weren't as many cars. It was no big apartments, and there weren't as many people. So I had a beautiful time. There were a lot of lizards on the ground, and we used to throw stones at them. But that was my own youth. We used to go to the beach a lot. Bar Beach was around. It's not around now. Sadly, my dad used to take me to Bar Beach to see the capital punishment killings of armed robbers, and even Dimka, who was one of the leaders of the coup d'etat against Murtala Mohammed. We saw him shot there. Saturdays was a big day, and NTE used to have a channel. I think they still have their studio there. So one of our aunties, Ms. Julie Coker, was there. So we saw a different side of Nigeria. We would go to Ibadan. we'll go to Ijebu, we'll go to Benin, we'll go to Port Harcourt by road. In those days, you could travel, and along the way, we go to Akure, you pick up mangoes, you pick up coconuts, my dad will pick up palm wine, all these things on the road that I don't know if you get it now because security is an issue. So for me, it was a romantic time. I think fashion, evolving through Nigeria, has started as a siloed industry. By that I mean every individual was doing their own thing, whether they were a seamstress, a tailor, a designer, a stitcher, they were doing their own thing. But we are realizing that with the 200+ million people we have in Nigeria, you can't be an individual alone doing your own thing. So the evolution of fashion that I've seen in my own small way, as someone who's worked in the industry, is that there's more collaboration. The designers are looking for hire specialist artisans to help with their stitching, the styling, and the putting together of clothes and accessories. So I'm also seeing small grassroots shoots, very small at the moment, of the government playing a part in bringing together some kind of foundation so people can articulate their fashion designs to the world, because we have seen it in a lot of music. Obviously, Afrobeat is one of our biggest exports in this country. Obviously, there's oil and all the others, but I'm talking about within this entertainment, luxury, lifestyle industries. So we're trying to learn from that how private sector can play a part to enhance this fashion sector. So now we're seeing a lot of vibrant colors, a lot of styles. Men's fashion is big. It's not just women's fashion. Men's grooming is massive. Hair and beauty as well. So men are taking care of ourselves more and more. And accessories. Accessories, I think, is fundamentally the quick fix of fashion, where we can enhance and create jobs and hyper growth in GDP by focusing on this. And this is where I implore the government with, working in mineral resources, our precious metals, semi-precious metals, help those industries to grow. There's a great lady, Janet Adeyemi, who works in Women in Business, and she is working within that. Let's help our fairer sex or the female gender to grow in business as well, because there's a fundamental knowledge that if half your population are women, as ours is roughly, or maybe 51%, 52%, you have to educate the women so they too can add it to GDP. It's a simple economist's theory. You can't leave them out of it because it's very important. And these industries in fashion are enhanced by women, and we need to push that forward. I think the banking system needs to be augmented, and I'm saying this from the government's perspective. The ease of doing business in Nigeria, as an investor myself, a foreign investor as well as being an indigent in Nigeria, the problem is not getting your money to Nigeria, it's getting your money out of Nigeria. Not that you want to suck all the money out of the country, but what can help is the floating exchange rates, the flow and liquidity of money that can come in and out of the country. A lot of investors are worried about how they get their money out of Nigeria. So I think our banking system, going back to the central bank, which they're working on, needs to be much more fluid. So people feel they can invest and take money out. But also, we need to articulate what is on offer. We need to start some kind of documentation of who is available to have investment with, where they can be found, because it's because we are quite an opaque economy, meaning that people can't see the end of where they're putting their money. Once we do that basis and open up the lights within which kind of businesses are available to be invested in, I think a lot of investors, domestic and international, will be more willing to put money into it. I think content creation for me has been an evolution. I started as an ex-banker, as I said. I used to trade futures and options in Barclays Bank. I was on the Life Exchange, trading bonds, and I found that wasn't my life. I wanted to be more closer to people. Some people can be bankers on the trading desk or trading floor, but not for me. So I started doing events. I was very lucky enough to show that I was quite adept at doing events. So a big company called Richemont, they owned Cartier, Dunhill, Hackett. They were part of British American Tobacco. They took me on to do their events. So I was doing a lot of polo matches, a lot of Christmas parties, a lot of brand activation events in England. So for me, I got a lot of content knowledge from that. Different styles, people, different countries. But in the last 10 years, I felt that helping companies like LinkedIn, Google, all kinds of big banks in Europe and America was not my remit. My business, EMC3, was going very strongly in America. But as a Nigerian man, I didn't feel love in America. I know that everyone says it's the land of opportunity, but being someone of my own African descent, I didn't like the mentality there. People are good, but the infrastructure is racist institutionally, as we know. So I felt I wanted to give something back to Nigeria. And with all the 20 years of, at that time, about 17 years of knowledge I gained from doing some of the best Grand Prix parties in the world, Formula One, around Monza, Silverstone, Abu Dhabi, I was doing a lot of events. I thought, let me take this back to Nigeria. I didn't have to come back to Nigeria. I wanted to. And I know with all our grievances with Nigeria, if you ask many Africans about Nigeria, they will say, they look up to us. You guys, you have Chinua Achebe, you have Wole Soyinka, you have Fela Kuti. What's your problem? You have Chimamanda Adichie. What's your problem? So we have to take ownership and say, yeah, we do have all these people. We have Afrobeats, whether it's Burna Boy, Davido, the Venus Bushfires, all these different people that are exported. Let us look inside and say, wow, we do have a lot. So I wanted, as a content creator, to show Nigeria in all the different sectors that we do have a lot. And that's why with the marketing and communications company that I've started, my own company, I felt I could touch so many sectors. And finance, as I mentioned, I work with banks. Also government, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, a very great entity. I work in fashion, with brand labels and people across the board. There are great shops like Alara here that also promote African fashion and African business. And did you know even Leventis does a lot of research, Nigerian bottling company, to help this country. And do you know Nigeria was blowing glass 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years before Europe knew glass blowing, and it's been found in Oyo State only recently. So it's very important that architecturally we take ownership of our country. The Nok civilization that has been in the mid to, I think it's above Abuja, near Benue, and even Niger River, above those basins, that has a lot of artifacts and a lot of archaeological excavation potential. But we've allowed that just to linger. People have stolen a lot of our artifacts. Nigeria was known for Benin bronzes. We were the best smelters of iron before people were smelting iron. So these are things we have to take stock of. And me as a content creator, I bring all that information together and I make sure that people acknowledge it and are aware of it. So then that will uplift us all. Now, this is a political question, but I believe with our background of the last 20, 30 years, we've had, sadly, leaders who have been militarily inclined, let's just call it that. And as we know, military people, they don't like educated people, because educated people will ask questions. So we have had what we call a dismemberment of education in Nigeria for the last 35 years. And that has played an endemic part in retarding the gross domestic productivity of our country, because our youths and even people up to my age and older, have not had the infrastructure, middle-class education that is needed for a country to grow. You look at the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century in Europe, especially in Britain, and you look how they were expanded by merchants and artisans and specific skilled workers. Apprenticeships were big, education was huge. There was what they call a noblesse obligée, a nobility obligation that people who are rich give back to institutions, not to church, to institutions that will help education. And that is where I think we've had a disconnect. Education was lacking. So for me, the way that we can help, it takes time. This new government is in. They are trying to implement the 8-point agenda, which is a good agenda. But everyone's looking for results now. Nigeria has been in a very bad state. There's global downturn. Obviously, cost of living is so high as it has been for a while. Nigeria is exacerbated, but in Europe, cost of living is high. There are some stupid wars going on around the world that has meant oil prices have skyrocketed. And you know, with the rocketing of oil, everything goes up price-wise. So Nigeria needs to reevaluate education and apprenticeship. I believe even in fashion industry especially, apprenticeship is very important. Whether it's weaving, designing, marketing, online, whatever it is, factories, you need apprenticeship. And that's the quick fix of education. But education is fundamental to everything. Education of men and women, or girls and boys, both. Let's be honest, we need both sides of our genders to work together. You know, Yoruba, we've always been what we call a dual binary kind of culture. We've always thought of male and female as one, and it's very important. Even in our names, Taiwo and Kehinde, we won't know if it's male or female. So we have to really educate ourselves that we can work together. And I think our women are our future, and I can't even emphasize that more. And education is key, but it takes time. I think Japa syndrome is very real. Everyone wants a better life. Let's not lie. You want a better life for yourselves, but for your family, your parents, your children. And the opportunities in Nigeria, even when you have been educated and you finish graduate here, to find jobs is not easy. The infrastructure is very bad for job creation. And this is being worked on, you know, and the last 8 years has been fundamentally broken. But we know this new government is changing that. But specifically, Japa in Canada, they need our brains. You go across the world and you ask any nation, especially America, who are the best educated, the best, integrated, and the most proficient people, Nigerians. So it's not that we are stupid. It's that we don't have the infrastructure at home. And America, Canada, Europe, they're giving us the infrastructure. So getting out of Nigeria is not easy. There are opportunities and policies that allow it, but going across the border to Libya is not the way. You spend $5,000, $4,000, which is almost 4 or 5 million naira to try and get to Europe, and then you are treated like a dog when you get there. That's not the way. But, you know, there are certain policies that can take you to these countries. And in Britain, for instance, it's not all, the streets aren't paved in gold, but if you earn £1 in Britain, you send that home, that £1 is 1,300 naira. So, and the minimum wage is £14 an hour now in Britain. So you can do the maths of that. So someone who is earning £14 an hour, if they work 10 hours in a day, they've earned over £100, which is 100,000 naira. So the maths, of course, is what makes people want to go there, because even if you are working there, obviously you're paying British rates, so your rent, your cost of utilities, your food and drink, your transport comes into play. It's not cheap there. But the money you send, even if you're only sending £100 a month back to your mom, that's 100,000 naira. So, or 130,000 naira in today's rate. So you can do the maths. That's why people are going. And the security in these countries is, and the education, to be quite frank, is better. But it doesn't mean they are better. We have to build a house, you must touch the roof from within, so your roof doesn't cave in. And I think that's very important. Not that people shouldn't go home. I mean, go out of the country, but they should always come home as they can. Because we need, you see the Pakistanis doing it, you see the Indians doing it, you see the Arabs, they go home and they build their own countries. It's not good to just japa and leave. You have to come home small. I think my success is down to, as much as I can say a success, because it's still a book that is not finished and the stories are still unwritten, is a tenacity of hard work. It's very important that people understand that it takes a lifetime to look like an overnight success. It doesn't just come. What I'm still doing, I'm not the most successful in my business, but I love my business. And if you can find something that you love and you can make money out of, then you're in heaven on earth, to be quite frank. I think my spirituality and my faith is very important, as is my wife's. My wife, Helen Epega, she wrote the world's first Pidgin English opera. And we've been staging it here in London. We played in Cape Town, in Nairobi, and in Lagos, And we've staged it in London. We're at the Royal Albert Hall next year. I'm executive producer of that. So I think my success, to add to that, is that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. And I work very hard to make sure I research and obtain knowledge of the next thing, or what was the last thing. I'm a historian as well. And I put things in perspective. And I try to add value as I can. But as my momsy used to say, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So I like to listen as well. And from children you can learn, from grandpapa you can learn. So humility is very important. I'm not arrogant with it. And I think that's the most important part. Collaboration, humility, and shared drive. But also knowing that for me, Saturday and Sunday, I'm off. That's my time for the family. I take a break. Sunday, even God rested on the 7th day. Me too, I rest. I'm not 24/7, even though this weekend we have a big fashion event, but that's work. But when I take my tools down, it's tools down. No one can call me on Sunday morning. So you can't be BOing to people. Never let anyone own you like that. That's what I say. Someone calling you on Sunday morning, obviously in journalism, in film, it's a different from projects. I'm not saying every time, but just be aware of yourself and your mental health. That's the most important. Sure. The world's first Pidgin English opera is a show about a Nigerian fabled people. It's almost like Orisha, but it's not. There are people who are Mami Waters, as well as they are spiritual people. They are the guardians of the galaxy, to use an expression. There is God, the all-faithful God, and the all-knowing God, omniscient, omnipotent. But below that, there are all these almost demigods that look after, let's say, this sector of the universe. And these people are singers. They sing opera, but they sing it with Pidgin English. And you know, Pidgin is a language that is known by most Nigerians, but it's a language that people shun and say, it's a bad language. But they speak Pidgin in Hawaii. They speak Pidgin in China. They speak Pidgin, Old English Cockney is Pidgin. American even is a form of Pidgin because they Yankified English. So what my wife has done, Helen Epega, she's also known as the Venus Bushfires. She's an Afrofuturist musician. She composes songs. So she put together this compilation, which is a Pidgin English opera musical. And it's a show that lasts for about 45 minutes or an hour and a half. It depends if you're doing the short version or long version. So we have tenors, we have sopranos, we have violinists, we have kura player, and my wife plays something called the hang, which is like 2 tortoiseshell steel drums that sound like a harp. And she plays that and she sings. She's the main protagonist in this. And it's a drama about all these people that have come, the Meneme people, who are meant to look after the planet, but they lose their voice. So Earth is, because God is angry with them, Earth, and says these people are rubbish. But the many people say to God, please give them one more chance. They're not that bad. I know they're fighting, there's lots of wars, but give them another chance. So the lead Kanate of these many people has to go to the Venus bushfire, which is the heavenly celestial place, to bring the voice back, to sing Earth back into harmony. So it's a drama, and it kind of plays on our old cultural awareness in Africa and heritage of Nigeria of there are other beings. And you must have faith in your ancestors as well as in a God. And the deities, as we know in Yoruba, I think there are 7 deities. And these are very important cultural awareness that we try to give to children as well. I think the filmmaking in Nigeria is burgeoning. AFRIF, the African Film Festival, International Film Festival, is on now, which is a great show. I helped incept in 2010, many years ago. We had it in Port Harcourt. It was Governor Rotimi Amici that started that campaign, but it's going on very strongly now. Nollywood, as we call it, is being noticed by the international market, whether it's Netflix or Hollywood. I would like to tell you something, actually, which is, I haven't divulged this for many years. My great uncle, whose name is Orlando Martins, God rest his soul, was one of the first African actors in Hollywood. He acted in the 30s with people like Ronald Reagan, Katharine Hepburn, and Bob Hope. And he always played a part as an African prince or chief. He was never like denigrated or made into a lower African slave or anything. And I think that instilled something in my mind with this film industry. I think it's very important that Nigeria, as it is, we have some great actors like Wale Ojo and Ramsey Noah. They are playing part in producing their own shows. And it's very important. Like in America, you obviously have people like Mel Gibson, Robert De Niro, who have produced their own films as well. That Nigerians are not just actors or technicians, they are also producers and directors. It's very important that we have that link within our industry. And we make friends and we forge relationships, not just with Hollywood. There's Bollywood, the Indian industry, and there's also China, because China's film industry is massive. Technically, I think just as big as Hollywood. So we must look to ourselves in Africa as well. There's some great film makers from Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana, and I think collaboration I always use collaboration because I would not be here without collaboration. Obviously, my wife, you collaborate with your spouse, but also my businesses. I have a very good English business partner. He's really a business partner. I've started a new business. I collaborate with all kinds of industries and different sectors. So for film industry, I think it's important that we push our heritage forward because people want to know about Nigeria. In Africa, they love Nollywood stories, and that's a fact. And we can expand by using distribution. Distribution is key. Netflix, all the Hollywood film houses, negotiate with them. Even if you don't get the best price for this show, make sure you check your contract, make sure you get it for your next film. So I think that's important, distribution. While I'm still alive, that's a very good question. Hope springs eternal with me, and I am optimistic about Nigeria. I think Nigeria is not what we all will think it will be. It's it's a country that needs to be more fluid. We have in diaspora a lot of powerful individuals and groups. I think we need to connect even more with those individuals and groups who need to invest in Nigeria. Our youth is very talented and is very able, but it's also very abundant. So we need to find a way to link up education, apprenticeship to these youth to give them something that is productive to work in. And that means expanding your mind as parents. It's not just doctors, lawyers, lawyers, bankers that we need. We need artisans, we need creatives, and that's the most important point. It's a mind block. So for me, if we can work on Nigeria's mind psyche and the taboos of oh, we don't want our child to marry musician. You know, even as a musician, you don't just have to be a rapper. You could be a music engineer, you could be a filmmaker, you could be an engineer that works with the technical aspects of editing, you could be a designer. There's so many aspects. So I say to my utopian Nigeria, learn from your brothers and sisters. International research online is very important. And for me, the dream is to see Nigeria as a fluid country of strength in Africa, where we're trading with African countries and we're using what we have as our asset. Technically, of course, we need Europe and America and everything, but we have it in Africa. We have it in Nigeria. So my beauty of Nigeria would be if we become our own Wakanda, working with other African states and enhancing our own GDP as well as our region and our continent's GDP working together. Gosh, my favorite, what's the first one? Food. As you can see, I like my food. I like a mixture actually. I like amala. I like yams. I swallow very well. Whether it's with ogbono soup, that's very good. But also, from my mother's river side, there's one okra, seafood okra that my mom used to make. And I still strive to find that. I go and find that whenever I go away. In London, you have some nice Nigerian restaurants, and in Lagos, of course, as across Nigeria. But nothing like home cooking. When my wife makes me a nice, I suppose she makes a goosey for me, eba, and that's my staple. My best music, I love Afrobeats, of course, but predominantly, I'm a Fela man. Ebenezer Obey. I like the old styles. And I also like Zaire music. There's high life that comes across Africa. But to be light to say I don't like Jimi Hendrix. I like Jimi Hendrix. He's a guitarist, a Native American, African-American guitarist. I love his kind of music. So those are my mainstays. And Gorillaz and De La Soul are still very great music of mine. Those are my Spotify at the moment. What was the other question? I like wrestling. They used to call it Gidigbo back in the day, Yoruba wrestling. I used to love that. I haven't seen that much lately, but I like Nigerian wrestling. Obviously, we play good football. We're great footballers as well, globally. But you said Nigerian sports. Polo. Nigeria, I like Nigerian polo as well. To my young brethren and children of Nigeria, I say it's important hard work. Hard work, research, and belief in yourself. Obviously, times are very tough at the moment, and money is tight. But with your own creativity, you can build your empire from there. I always believe that from one's mind, you can make worlds, and you shouldn't give up. Obviously, if you're not very great at one thing, you find what you are great at. But always be honest with yourself and treat others how you want to be treated. And remember, collaboration is the key or the little sister of success. And always have a smile. Very important. That's what I say.
From Dubai to Lagos, Nigeria, and across the globe, SOUQ News TV is your #1 station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to SOUQ News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines. From breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, we deliver content that connects you to the world. At SOUQ News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQ News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited. Also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano. And Emirate News Television, Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQ News TV, your home for business, economy, and development.
Ojude Oba is the annual social cultural festival with the splendor and grandeur of the Ijebus on display at Ijebu-Ode, the capital city of Ijebuland. It is a nexus of cultural and sartorial elegance, social grace, and evocative dance steps that has attracted indigenous as well as local and foreign tourists over the years. It is a celebration of the enduring age-grade system called Regbe, platform of cultural identity and unity of the Ijebus, including those in the diaspora. From its origin in the 1880s as an Islamic faithful's Salah message and visit to the Abujale of Ijebuland, the Ojude Oba Festival has transformed into an all-indigenous celebration filled with fun and laughter. I shall be looking at the economic and tourist attractions and potentials of this festival in view of its increasing global patronage and attention it is receiving right now. Credit for the transformative feats of social engineering concerning the Ojude Oba Festival must go to His Royal Majesty Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono Ogbagba II, since ascending the throne of his forefathers in 1960. It is a case of an iconic traditional ruler creating an iconic legacy. This year's edition of Ojude Oba Festival was estimated to have attracted over 2 million people and several more millions of a global audience. The social media was agog in transmitting the grandeur of the occasion. As is usual, Ijebu-Ode experienced vehicular and human traffic gridlock, especially in the city center, where the Palace of the Awujale and the Palace Annex hosting the event are located. It is a measure of the economic derivative of the celebration of Ojude Oba that all hotels in Ijebu-Ode and environs were fully booked from Saturday, June 15, 2024 through to June 28 to Wednesday 19th, the day after. Food and drinks vendors also made boom sales, catering for the teeming patrons at the celebration. At the venue of the celebration, opposite the palace, the Awujale was resplendent in the majesty of his royal regalia, supported by other traditional rulers in Ijebu land, with Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, also an Ijebu, adorned in a desired native dress of sunshine colors that stood him out as a sartorial connoisseur. But then, in all good things, there are few contrary people sold to skepticism and negativism. The 2024 Ojude Oba Festival attracted such people who erroneously and mischievously described it as a fashion jamboree of no consequence to the welfare of the hosts and the environment. These skeptics and critics wondered why the Regberegbes should not offer scholarships, build health centers, and construct roads and boreholes. Some people even dismissed the Regberegbes outing at Ojude Oba Festival as a wasteful fashion extravaganza. In their anger, they wondered, what a hell is this Ojude Oba Festival? What an empty hype. The coordinator of the 2024 Ojude Oba Festival, Chief Fasi Yusuf, told journalists that the Regberegbe had not only been feeding the people and educated the youths, as it were, but have also been providing infrastructural facilities. He described
Yeah, hello and welcome to Just Africa on SOUQ News Television. Of course, here we do business, economy, and development. I am Omevi Idolo. Before we bring in our guests, we want to look at some of the stories that are making the airwaves around Africa. And in our first story here, Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Olayemi Cardoso has called on African central banks and development finance institutions to play a proactive role in driving industrialization, climate resilience, and financial stability. Cardoso emphasized that coordinated efforts can unlock investment, modernize industries, and prepare African economies for climate challenges. Breakdown with examples, talking about the central bank encouragement. We from Just Africa and we're looking at banks support factories and manufacturing. Of course, if the Central Bank of Nigeria is saying, of course, go ahead and support industrialization, what stops you? So it's like a bank giving loans to small factories to make products locally, which will boost the economy. And we're also looking at it from the angle of funding green energy and sustainable projects. That's a very big one. Building houses that can withstand floods or storms. That is what the central bank is encouraging. And we're also looking at it from the angle of protecting economies from shocks. Yes, ensuring banks stay strong even if some businesses fail. So we have what it takes to withstand any form of shock. That is what the central bank governor is encouraging. And in our second story, the International Finance Corporation, IFC, has launched a $10 million risk-sharing facility to unlock up to $20 million in new credit for Ethiopian small and medium-sized enterprises, that's SMEs. The initiative aims to encourage banks to lend more confidently to SMEs, which are often considered high-risk borrowers. The facility will provide guarantees to banks, reducing potential losses and allowing businesses to access loans for growth, equipment, and working capital. Officials said the program supports entrepreneurship, job creation, and inclusive economic development in Ethiopia. This is a very good story coming from the Ethiopia. Just as the Central Bank of Nigeria is encouraging industrialization, this is another thing the IFC is encouraging the Ethiopia banks to do. IFC guarantees loans to banks can lend more. Now, what they are doing is that banks can lend more to SMEs because they have the backing of IFC. So it is a guarantee. It's like a parent goes signing a loan, so the bank trusts you to borrow more money. So if IFC is saying, come on, go ahead and borrow, of course, because there is a backing, they can give more to smaller banks. So to SMEs, I meant to say. In another angle, we look at it as small businesses get access to funds. Local bakery borrows to buy other things that will make the bakery succeed. Of course, they are helping the business to grow. They are helping individuals to grow. So if the banks can give more money to individuals, of course, more products will come out, and of course, money will be paid. And we're looking at it, more funding creates employment. Yes. When SMEs are well-funded, jobs will be created. So hire extra workers as a bakery owner, for instance. Of course, it will make productivity grow stronger. More people will be employed, of course. More work will be done, and unemployment will be reduced drastically. And in our third story today, it's not a very good one, but it's still okay. Tomato prices in Ghana have surged following a deadly jihadist attack in Burkina Faso that halted tomato exports. Ghana relies heavily on imports from Burkina Faso, and the disruption has created shortages in major markets. Traders report that the price of tomatoes has increased by up to 40% in some regions, affecting households, restaurants and small-scale food businesses. Authorities are exploring alternative supplies to stabilize prices and ensure supply. The story, well, we can say that it is not a very good story because what's happening is Burkina Faso is already affecting Ghana because Ghana depended so much on Burkina Faso for automotive supply. So limited supply drives prices up. It is everywhere. The unavailability of product will always skyrocket the prices of goods, and that is affecting Ghana right now. So if only few more things are left in the shop, or rather, if few things are left in the shop, the price would definitely go higher, and up to 40%, that is on the high side. And looking at it again, imports disrupted by security threats. I think it's high time the leaders of Africa, the African continent, started looking into security issues, and it should be well handled because we can't keep going back and forth. This is just within the continent, and we are having threats that is affecting food supply. And in looking at it again, we also find we're also encouraging Ghana to find alternatives and boost local production. Yes, we can't just rely on another country. Now look at what is happening because of what is going on in Burkina Faso. Ghana is having surge in tomato price. So Ghana must look at it. How do we produce our own product? How do we make produce more tomatoes so that restaurant households don't get affected? And in our fourth and very last story here, we heard that 4 South African nationals who had been recruited to fight for Russia have been repatriated home. Authorities said the returnees were intercepted and safely returned following cooperation between South African and international security agencies. The incident underscores the risks posed by foreign recruitment for conflicts, including legal consequences, safety hazards, and diplomatic challenges. Officials stress the importance of monitoring and advising citizens against involvement in foreign conflicts. Civil society groups and families have welcomed the repatriation, calling for rehabilitation and counseling programs to support returnees' reintegration into the society. So citizens return safely home. That's the very first part of the story. It's a beautiful thing that, yes, they got home safely. Although it's not a very good thing that they were just repatriated like that. But there are more stories building around it. But it is first and first, safety, which is a beautiful thing. So looking at it from another angle, legal, safety, and diplomatic issues, it's like joining a fight in another country can land you in jail or in danger. So whatever any African is doing, please be conscious of what you're doing. And lastly here, we help returnees adjust to normal life. It is not going to be easy for the returnees, for these guys that were repatriated to come back into the society and just live their normal lives. So it will require a whole lot. The government have to help those people come back and help them adjust to the norms of the society right now. Yeah, that's the stories going around Africa right now. We'll go on this quick break, and when we come back, we'll go straight to talking to one of our guests that is standing by. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Strategy sounds powerful. It looks good in presentations. It fits perfectly in pitch decks. But results, real growth, consistent revenue, strong systems, sustainable impact, that is where the real work begins. Why do so many brilliant businesses struggle to move from planning to performance? What separates the entrepreneurs who talk about growth from those who actually achieve it? In a continent where small and medium enterprises drive employment and economic expansion, execution is not just a business issue, it is a development issue. Delivering results means building structures, mastering financial discipline, leveraging technology and developing leadership that goes beyond passion. Today, we explore what it truly takes for African small businesses to move beyond survival and step confidently into scale, stability, and measurable success. Once again, this is Just Africa on SOUQ News Television. You can follow us on all our social media platforms and at SOUQ News TV and subscribe to the Just Africa show. Okay, so today on Just Africa, our conversation focuses on moving from strategy to results, how African small businesses can deliver. And our guest, Galil Mokoy, is a project manager, health innovation in Manchester, that's NHS, founder, coach, and mentor, Brains Magazine executive contributor. Mokoy brings over a decade of experience translating organizational priorities into structured plans, strengthening delivery capability, and managing competing priorities under pressure. Her insights provide practical guidance for founders, entrepreneurs, and small business leaders striving to turn ambition into tangible outcomes. Hello, Mokoy. Welcome to Just Africa.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you. Glad to be here. I appreciate you. I hope you can hear me clearly.
How is Manchester today?
Manchester's lovely, a bit cold, but no, Manchester's lovely. It's great. Thank you. How about you? How is Lagos?
Yeah, Lagos is good, of course. You know, all the hustling and bustling continues. That's Lagos life for you. We're used to it, and it's beautiful. Okay, so Mokoy, let's have this conversation. Many entrepreneurs proudly say, I have a strategy. That is the word. I have a strategy. So in your experience, what does a real strategy look like beyond a written document?
A real strategy is going from thinking about what to do to applying what to do. And that's where a lot of business owners, founders, get stuck, because they think, yes, I have this great idea and this is what I need to do to make it happen. But the doing is the difficult part, because they realize that, one, certain things they do not know how to do, certain things they will probably not have the capital, the funds to do, and certain things they actually do need a team to make it happen, especially if they're not just thinking of staying small forever. They're thinking of expanding, of growing, and turning it into something major that can make a change for their life, but also for the way they think about business.
Okay, so why do so many small businesses fail at execution, even when their ideas are solid?
Because when you go, that's an issue that I had. So a little bit about my backstory as a founder and a business owner. I have started and failed 6 businesses. So that's not something that a lot, of business owners would say. But I have started and failed 6 businesses. And at each point, I was stuck somewhere where I was saying, right, this is the strategy, but I do not know how to make it happen. And that's the issue. That's the how. We don't know how to make it happen. And that how comes from a multitude of things. So mindset, understanding that it's a step, it's a step that we can either go over, step over, learn from. It comes from having the right network as well, speaking to the right people, those who are at the same stage as you, those that are above you, who have also dealt with, that step, that moment, and how they made it happen. Sometimes it will just require changing a few things in your system. Sometimes it will require going back to the drawing board and finding a brand new strategy that you can use. Or other times it will require money. And some businesses get stuck at one step and just think that, that's it, I'm done. I will not grow. I will not make my business effective or sustainable. But it's about having those difficult conversations at those steps when it comes to strategy.
Okay, so I will ask you some of the steps that you're talking about, but before then, you failed in 6 businesses. You started 6 businesses and failed in 6 businesses, and you're still running a business. What is the drive? Like, what's keeping you going? Many people would have given up.
I'm going to say, with some of us, the entrepreneurial fire, that entrepreneurial knowledge, it's those things. And I've had it since I was young. I've had it since I was very young. Here in high school, I think when I was about 14 or 15, they used to sell sweets, in the counters. And eventually the British law changed, and they said you're no longer allowed to sell sweets in school. So being the naughty child that I was, I went to the corner shop, and I just literally bought sweets, chocolates, fizzy drinks, and I took those to school and started selling them. That was my first business. I didn't think it was a business. I just thought, no, we deserve to have sweets in school, so I'm going to sell them. That was my first business. Of course, being in school, I got in trouble. I had to stop. Next, I followed passions. I am passionate about makeup. I am passionate about hair. I'm passionate about fashion. Whilst I had, at that time, the knowledge of how to do those things, I did not have the business knowledge to run those businesses. So it was give and take. In my mind, it was, I want to make clothes. I want to sell them, but I do not know how to sell them. I know how to do makeup. I know how to paint a beautiful face, but I do not know how to market myself. I do not know how to price myself. I do not know how to find the right people who will use my services. So I'm going to say each of those 6 failed businesses were lessons that brought me to the point where I am now, where I can run a business successfully and say, this is how I'm going to price myself. This is how I'm going to market myself. This is how I'm going to attract the right clients.
Okay.
Those businesses have taught me that this where I am now. And I know that the business that I have now, although it's still fairly, I'm going to say it's still fairly young because it's less than 3 years old. In the UK, we call that a very young business. From what I have learned on my failed businesses, this one will not fail. This one will grow.
That's beautiful. I love the mindset. But you said something, you failed because you do not know some of the steps, or back then you have no understanding of the steps to take, and you do not even know how to find the right people. So before we talk about finding the right people, what are some of those steps that you would have taken back in the days, that you are taking now, or that you are following the right steps to take, that is scaling up your business, your current business right now?
One of the first things that I have to say is, when I first started, I thought that I had to do everything myself. And as a project manager by trade, that's something you learn as well. You need to learn how to delegate. Okay, so finding the right people to bring in your organization that you can trust, that you believe can actually do the job, can actually report back to you, can actually tell you honestly what is happening. So that was one of my pain points, one of my failures. When I first started, because I thought, well, I have to do the accounting, I have to, manage the inventory, I have to be on social media, I have to, contact, the everything basically. Whereas now it's, I focus on my strengths. So as I said, I'm a project manager, but my strength is also marketing and branding. So that is what I focus on. I have an accountant. I have someone that deals with my systems. I have someone that does the email marketing. I have someone that does the lead generation. So I have built a team. I am working with people that are experts in their field in order to make my business grow. And that's the stage that I am at. But when you are, of course, a smaller business, it is difficult to do that. So it's about picking your battles, okay? It's about knowing where you're strong at. The things that you're strong at, you want to spend forever doing that, which is completely understandable. However, knowing that the numbers need to be correct, your accounting needs to be done, the systems need to be in place, the inventory needs to be counted, the suppliers need to be put in touch with. So you need to set time aside to do that. You need to know that. You need to learn that. But eventually, with time, if you want your business to grow, you cannot be everywhere. You need to delegate that to the right people.
Yeah, you need to delegate to the right people, but how do you get the right persons to do the job? Sometimes you just assume, people just think, this person I think is good for the job. And at the end of the day, you find out that no, the person is not even half good for the job. So how do you get the right people to do the job rightly?
Trial and error. Trial and error. So I have worked with people who were absolutely not good for the job. You know, they look great on CV, okay? Did the interview, passed, but when it actually came time to do the job, they needed more help than they could provide me help with. I'm the type of person who I'm always, you know, open to bringing people up with me. If you need more help to learn, that's fine. What is it that you need to learn? What is it that you need support for, and we can work on that. However, if you're coming to me with saying that you have a certain level of expertise and you do not, and you also do not want help, and you also do not want to become better in your role, I'm sorry, we're going to have to part ways. And yes, it is trial and error. Your business, if you think about it, is like any other organization. It's like, I'm sorry, I do not know if you have that in Nigeria, but we have this big superstore here called Asda. Working at Asda, you know, you are employed based on your skills. And if you do not, your skills are up to a certain level and you want to move on up, you will be trained. They will give you the training, they will give you the support. You also have to be willing to take it.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to take it, then I'm sorry, there's nothing that the organization can do for you. And you need to think of the same way in terms of your business. You know, okay, this person is doing good. Here's the areas where they can do better. Do you want training? Do you want support? Is there anything that I can do for you? If they are not willing and you know that that is hindering your business, let them go.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much, McCoy. Now, you work within health innovation in Manchester under the NHS, an environment known for structure, systems, and measurable outcomes. What has working in that system taught you about turning strategy into results?
In terms of, so the NHS is a very interesting place to work because, of course, it's the National Health Service. So our customers, our clients are every single human being in the UK. Okay, so we're not working for profit. We're working to make sure that people are healthy, people are safe, people, you know, are taken care of. In terms of strategy, that is always what you have to keep at the back of your mind. Your strategy is not to make money. Your strategy is to help people. And everything that you need to put into place is how you can help people in a short term, on a medium term, and on a long-term basis. In terms of the systems in place, with the level of support and the way people need to be helped in terms of their health, is forever changing. So we always need to keep at the forefront of that. We always need to keep being knowledgeable, being understanding of what people need. And if I take that into business, that doesn't change. You know, people like a certain thing today, they may not like it tomorrow. People are behaving a certain way today, maybe tomorrow they'll be like, absolutely not, we do not want this. Understanding the needs of your target audience, of your target market, of your client is very, very important. So for example, within the NHS right now, we're trying to move into holistic care. And holistic care is not just focusing on one specific area of illness, you know, is how everything can work together. So how can the clinicians, the doctors, the GPs, the nurses work with the family, work with the social service system in order to help that person within the community? Because we do not want to keep that person in hospital. We want them to, if they are, you know, unwell, how do we make them better by all working together? That's holistic care. And we are working on strategies to make sure that we bring that holistic care together. But at the same time, the world is changing. There's also AI coming in. How do we use AI within the wards? How do we use AI, you know, to help us simplify the work of the clinicians in order to support the, you know, the clients that we have? I would say, though, within the NHS, there is a big resistance in terms of AI, and highly understandable because although LLM language models and AIs have been around for a very, very long time, as an organization, we know very little about it and how we can use it and in which spaces of the NHS. So we're still learning.
Yeah.
But I think in the next maybe 2 to 3 years, there will be quite a lot of work with AI within the NHS. That is my prediction.
Okay, so looking at the way NHS operates with the kind of structures they have you at any point in time tried to use the system or maybe just to follow the track, the map they use, the style they use? Have you ever tried using that to run your business?
Well, I would say a business is a business is a business, okay? And a project is a project is a project. So everything that you learn in project, you can use it in other projects.
Okay.
Everything that you learn in one business, you can use it in other business. So the one thing that I would say is my knowledge, that I input in the NHS is also knowledge that I input into business. Yes, so I can't take, because of course I am bound by contracts and I am bound by, my ethics as working within the NHS. I cannot physically take what's there and move it here, because that would be unethical. But the knowledge that I have and the knowledge that I use within the NHS is definitely knowledge that I also have and also use in business.
Okay, so
that's what I found.
So what does structure look like in a small, fast-moving teams? Just like yours, what does structure really means?
Structure means what you want it to mean. So structure is literally what you need it to be within your organization. So for example, within my my team in the NHS, we have the program director, we have the program lead, then we have me, and then we have the coordinators. So that is 1, 2, 3. That's about a team of 6 to 7 people. Each of us have our role, okay? And my role is to oversee and make sure that the job of the project coordinators is done, okay? The activities that they have on a day-to-day basis is done. I make sure that I remove any impediments, any problems, any issues that they have, okay, in order for them to do their job. So there must be no bottleneck. There must be nothing that's stopping them to do their job on a day-to-day basis. If they bring it to me, I need to do my damn hardest to make sure that nothing is stopping them. Okay. If there is something that I cannot fix, okay, that I cannot sort out, before going to my project lead, I need to make sure that I have come up to maybe 3 or 4 solutions. That's my way of working. Okay, I can't just go to my project lead saying, I don't know what to do. At times I have done that, but very rarely. I come up with about 3 or 4 solutions and say, this one is my favorite. This one is the one I believe will solve that problem. That is then gone to my project lead, who will more than likely said, you know what, you're right. Here's some suggestion on how we can go about things. Go ahead and implement it.
Okay.
And that you can run your business exactly the same way as well.
Oh, okay, yes, I like that. You know what to do, you know exactly what to do. But some small businesses don't understand this. So are there tools or habits that help small businesses stay focused under pressure? Just as you said, you have to remove every bottleneck. And every business owner needs to understand that. What are the habits or what are the tools they need to help them stay in track?
So before answering that question, I just want to say that I've got 10 years experience in project management, okay? And I have over 10 something years, let me say about 15 years experience in entrepreneurship. So in order to form the habits that I have formed and to have the understanding that I have, it's trial and error, which is why I specifically said I have failed at 6 businesses. Because when each time I failed is each time I learned. Because when the problem came about the second and third time, I was like, this is what happened last time. This is what I didn't do. This is what happened last time. This is what I did. I shouldn't have done that. This is how I should, go ahead and move forward with that issue. Okay, so this is what has helped me build the habits that I have today and that I have inputted in my business. So one thing that I want to say to business owners, don't be afraid of failing, okay? A failure is a lesson. One thing that I have is day-to-day systems, so I keep track of absolutely everything. Absolutely everything, so that I know. Because I'm such a busy person as well. My calendar is my best friend. If it's not in my calendar, I'm sorry, it's not happening. It never happened. Okay, my calendar, so that I keep track of what I do on a day-to-day basis, from waking up in the morning to the last thing I do at night. But I track my tasks. What needs to be done? When does it need to be done by? How long does it take me to do it? Who do I need to implement it with? Do I need to do it by myself? All of these things. Because sometimes there are periods in business or even at work, where you feel like nothing is happening. But when you're keeping track of things, you know that you're moving forward. You know that things are moving ahead.
Yeah, but many SMEs don't track performance beyond sales. Many of them just say, okay, I want to track my sales. What key metrics should they be paying attention to?
Tracking sales is great. But if you only track the sales, you will not know how to replicate those sales over and over again. Okay, you will not know how to keep doing that amount of money. You will just sometimes put it down to luck, or say, it was just it was just a little bit of luck, or it was the right time, or things like that. No, if you keep track of what you did within that specific amount of time, you can replicate that over and over and over again to keep getting those results. Okay, that is what a strategy is. It's something that you can implement over and over and over again to get the results that you need and how you need them to be. So, for example, in terms of social media, okay, last year in August, I started posting every day for 100 days. I know that if I post every day for 100 days, I can get traction on my Instagram page for up to around 40,000 people watching me, because it is a proven record. I have done it again, and the same thing is happening. People are watching my posts. People are listening to what I'm talking about. I know how to make that happen because I have tracked it. And now I am tracking it even further to find out that from the posts that I post, which ones are the best on a weekly basis, which one gets the most comments, which one drives the most people to my website and gets me clients, so that I can keep replicating that. In terms of sales, okay, what is it that sells the most? Why? Does it sell the most at a specific time of the year? Does it sell the most at a specific time of the month, specific time of the week? I have a client who took the time to track her sales, and she realized that based on where she is, because she's in the US, most people purchase from her very late on a Thursday evening and very early on a Friday morning, between, let's say, 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning. And she realized that's when her customers get paid. Those that get paid on a weekly basis, they get paid at that time, so they spend their money with her. So what she's put together is a newsletter that goes out between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. so that when they get their money, they're already ready. They know what to buy. They know how to buy. They know where to go. So tracking your sales is great, but it's not the only thing you need and you should track.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much for your beautiful insight. But right now, we'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, this conversation will continue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Africa is a continent of different individuals, tribes, languages, and even destinies. Every African country is unique in its own way, with something that sets it apart from the others. Today, on The Uniqueness of Africa, we take a look at Chad. Chad, located in North Central Africa, is a land of extremes and quiet resilience. What makes Chad truly unique is its extraordinary geographical and ecological contrast. Stretching from the harsh Sahara Desert in the north to fertile savannas and wetlands in the south. One of its most remarkable features is Lake Chad, once one of Africa's largest freshwater lakes. Though it has shrunk dramatically over the decades due to climate change and overuse, it remains a vital lifeline for over 30 million people across Chad, Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon. But Chad's uniqueness goes even deeper. It is one of the most linguistically diverse countries in Africa, with over 120 local languages spoken, despite a relatively small population. French and Arabic are the official languages, but the diversity reflects its deep ethnic and cultural complexity. Chad is also home to Zakuma National Park, a conservation success story in Central Africa. Once plagued by poaching, the park has rebounded and is now a sanctuary for elephants, lions, giraffes, and rare birds, showcasing the country's ecological richness. In the Enedi Plateau in northeastern Chad lies another treasure, a UNESCO World Heritage Site filled with ancient rock formations and prehistoric cave art, some dating back 7,000 years. These natural cathedrals in the desert tell stories of early human life long before modern civilization reached the region. In terms of identity, Chad is where Arab and Black African cultures blend, creating a unique socio-cultural fusion seen in its clothing, cuisine, languages, and traditions. Despite economic challenges and regional instability, Chad remains a country of untapped beauty, resilience, and cultural depth. It is a land where survival meets strength and where the desert holds not just sand, but stories. This is the uniqueness of Africa, and today we spotlight Chad, the bridge between the desert and diversity. I am Moyosore Adebi for SOUQ News TV.
Welcome back to Just Africa on SOUQ News Television. Of course, you can follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV and subscribe to the Just Africa show at Just Africa on our YouTube channel. Yes, and we'll be having this conversation on how SMEs can move from the stage of strategizing to that place of achieving results. And Mukoy has been on standby, or has been with me virtually, having this robust conversation. Hello, Mukoy. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Hello.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about SMEs leadership, small businesses. When it comes to leadership, there's a whole lot around it. Well, first of all, how can they lead without losing focus, at the same time competing with other businesses that are operating on same pedestal with them? But they have to stay focused and ensure that they do not lose focus and they achieve all their goals. Leadership.
In terms of leadership, I'm going to split this answer into two. So in terms of leadership, of course, you need to know how to lead, and knowing how to lead is having an end goal in mind. So let's say your business year runs from January to December. Mine, for example, runs from March to February. So by the end of this month, I will look at what I have done and what I have achieved from last year, March, until this year, February 26. But in order to have that, I had to have an end goal. So what needed to be my revenue in terms of sales, in terms of what I wanted to achieve financially, but also the brand reputation, customers, are they always new customers? Are they returning customers? So all of those things, I wrote that down in March last year, and I'm going to review that we are in the process of reviewing that already as a business. That's that. But you have the 12 months, great, but then you break that into quarters. And then after breaking that into quarters, of course, you break that on a monthly basis. from breaking that onto monthly basis, you break that onto weekly basis, and then activities that you can do on a day-to-day basis to achieve those goals. That is a strategy, okay? That is a strategy. So that's one way, part of a way to being a great leader, okay? Being a great leader is also asking your team what's going on. You know, I need reports. It's all great saying we're going to achieve all of those things, but where are we up to? Where are we up to on a weekly basis? So every week I have a meeting with my team asking them what's going on. Okay, all part of this project management style that I've always had. What's going on? What have we achieved? What have we not achieved? What issues are we having, so that we can get those issues out of the way and keep moving as a business, keep gaining, keep growing, keep developing. Also, I would say one thing with me is I lead by example.
Okay.
I want my team to work hard. I show them how hard I work. So it's one of those things because me and my team, most of us work remotely. So we meet like this by Zoom, by Teams, or whichever people prefer to use. But at work, I lead by example, meaning I arrive at work prior to some of my team members, prior to some of my colleagues. Okay, I set up before them. I give them at least a skeleton of what needs to be done prior to the work being done, because I don't like coming in cold and just with nothing to present. That's not my style. That doesn't work very well for me. So I like leading by example. So I have done some of the work, or I have done some of the research. Now I need you to carry it through. Leading by example, showing that you know, I expect you to work hard because I work hard. I expect you to do your job because I do my job too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I really want to talk about you giving them the skeletal framework of what you want them to do. But before that, you talked about whether customers are coming back or not. You always review that, and you're about doing that again. And that's where some business owners get it wrong. How can they manage partners? How can they manage investors? How can they manage customers, especially those customers that are difficult to satisfy? Will they be able, what do they need to put in place to help them manage these people? Because they are a big part of the business.
So there's this thing in project management, we call this, you know, people management, we call it stakeholder management, okay? So each stakeholder needs to be managed differently, okay? So vendors need to be managed differently, investors need to be managed differently, customers need to be managed differently. But depending on the type of business that you have, of course, you deal with customers on a day-to-day basis, okay? And it's called Pareto's law, which is the 80-20 rule, okay? 80% of your business will come from 20% of your customers. Okay, so if you have 100 customers, 20 will return and return and return. What are you doing to keep those 20?
Yeah.
How are you treating those 20? Are you taking care of them? Are you being good to them? Are you being a good business to them? Okay, so that's what brings them back. Okay, are you offering them value? That's what brings them back, basically. And also, what a lot of businesses do not know, or perhaps do not realize, it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer than to bring a new one. So if 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers, okay, you will then spend 80% of you will then lose out on 80% of people. However, they will only be coming maybe once or twice, or when you have a discount or when you have an offer. But that 20% will buy from you whether you have an offer or not, because they know who you are, they understand your brand, they understand your business, they understand the value that you have to offer. So businesses need to know and understand that 80-20 rule is very, very important.
Very important. Okay, so there is this saying that says customers are never wrong. Customers are always right. And so some customers come and they give you that attitude, that cynical attitude, and you just want to throw them out. How do you relate to this kind of customer? I'm talking on your personal experience now. I'm not talking about the general people in businesses. You, how do you handle those kind of customers?
So I hate that saying because that's not true. Customers are not always right, okay? You have to always treat them right, but customers are not always right. Sometimes they are very, very wrong in the sense that you have signed a contract, they didn't read through the contract, and they expect something that wasn't either highlighted or something that you do not do, excuse me. So that level of clarity needs to be available and needs to be said and seen and shown throughout. Okay, so of course there is discretion, like in having worked in organization when, you know, sometimes we think, you know what, this is not a big deal. We can make a discretion for this customer because what will it cost us? What issue, you know, will it make? Absolutely none. But customers are not always right. And one thing I would say, even as a customer, I've noticed that myself, it's all about how to keep a relationship, you know. If a business that is dealing with me as a customer treats me right, I in return as a customer will treat them right. You know, so it's a relationship. It's a give and take. From time to time, you're okay making discretions. Other time, especially if the customer chooses to be difficult and chooses to be entitled, and again, I hold my hands up because I have done it too. Then yes, it will be difficult. You know, so no, I do not believe the customer is always right. I believe that the customer should always be treated right.
Okay, I think I'll go with that school of thought. Customers should always be treated right, not that they're always right. Okay, so earlier on you said something that what you do, you give your team or your staff the skeletal work, framework that of what they will build on. But we've seen most founders, most business owners, SMEs, they give you that framework, and instead of them to allow the staff bring in their own parts, build on it, create whatever you've given to them, they find it difficult to take themselves away from that. So they keep coming back, they keep interrupting, they keep preventing the staff to use his or her experience to develop something. What kind of leadership is that?
That I used to be. I'm going to be very honest, simply because I have developed a certain level of detachment with my business. Yes, it is a business. It's something that I'm growing. It's something that I also know is not for me. I don't know, maybe because it's Ramadan and Lent and it's, you know, it's the month of reflection. That's probably why I'm saying that. I know that the business is being created to be sustainable, to help me and help other people. So that's the difference. That's the mindset that I have now. Whereas when I was first in businesses, the business is mine. It's my baby. It's something that I need to hold on to. So nobody can try anything that I do not like. Nobody can make a change. Nobody can. No, I no longer have this mindset. If the change or if the initiative or if the idea is good for the business, bringing the business closer to its goal, making the business move forward, I am open now. I am open to listening. I am open to making those things happen to move the business forward. So I think it's all about being open, understanding what the business is there to do, and realizing that you need to be somewhat detached as well.
Okay. And what if the owner doesn't want to detach? What happens? What will be the outcome of that kind of situation? I want to bring in my idea. The business owner does not want to detach. And we just want this to go. We want this project to succeed. We do not want it to fail. What happens?
So in projects, we have this thing called the triple constraints. So it's money, time, and cost, which all affect quality. Okay, the thing that the quality should never be compromised. So if you do not want the quality to be compromised, it's either the money, you spend more money, you spend more time, or you spend more resources. I said cost before, but it's resources. So what is it that as a business owner you need to do? Okay, if you hold on like this, it will affect all of it. You need to learn to give people room to breathe. And when you give people room to breathe, that's when they bloom. Okay? That's when the people in your team do the best work. And yes, they will make mistakes. Yes, that's human. Yes, you will be frustrated. That's human. Like, it's one of those things like you need to understand that, and that's all part of, I would say, emotional intelligence. These things will happen. People will frustrate you regardless. People will make mistakes regardless. People will not get it right the first time round. But if you let them keep trying, they will get it right, especially if they understand your vision. Those are the type of people you should not let go of. Because finding the right people, as we were speaking before, is very difficult. So when you do, but then you make it hard for them, you're also making it hard for your business.
Okay. I like that. When you make it hard for them, you're also making it hard for the business. So now I need you to speak generally. How can African SMEs founders move from the point of strategy to the point of results? Generally.
Moving from a point of strategy and to the point of results is, first of all, knowing what the result you want to achieve. What is it? Don't be vague. Like, oh, I just want the business to be big. Okay, what's your definition of big? Big could be going from a one-man business to 20 people. That's big. Growing a team of 20, that is big. And it's not easy. Big is, I want to make a turnover of $500,000 a year. That's big. What is your definition of big? So define that big clearly. Define, your end goal very clearly. And once you've defined it, work backwards from that. Do you think you can achieve that in a year, 2 years, 5 years? Then you create the plan. Once you've created the plan, you find the people, you have the funding, you start putting things in place a little bit at a time. And one thing about projects and business, it's a very, very volatile world. Okay, external factors, things from outside will always happen. So you need to be mentally prepared for that. I think in terms of making a business grow, a lot of it is mentality. So you need to be mentally prepared for that. Okay, so getting the result is knowing what result is it that you want, define it clearly, and then work backwards to have key touch points to make sure that you are moving towards your goal. And each time you reach one of those touch points, don't just brush it off and move on to the next point. Because I feel like as Africans, and I'm holding my hand up because I do it too, you're like, okay, I've reached it, what's next? You forget to say to yourself, I have reached a big milestone. I need to make sure that that is noted down. I need to make sure that I talk about it. I need to make sure that I share it with my team. I need to make sure that I celebrate my team to have helped me achieve that point. And we move on forward from there. So those are the key things I believe every entrepreneur should take into consideration.
All right. Thank you so much, Mokoe, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate your time. But your final word for a young person out there right now who wants to venture into entrepreneurship, who want to own a business, who want to run a business and see how he or she can move from that point of strategy to the point of result. This person hasn't started. The person is watching you right now. What's your final word? I mean, what's your word of advice for that person that wants to venture into entrepreneurship?
Start, but fail often. Okay? The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you realize that you're good at the thing that you're doing. Get a mentor. You'd be surprised about how much you will learn from someone who's been there before you, and that will also stop you from making mistakes. Have a strong mindset. I mean, us as Africans, I know that we're very, very resilient. You know, we're very, very, I will make it happen no matter what. So have that resilience, and even if the win is this small, okay, even if it's still a win, you're still winning. So yeah, I'm rooting for you. Okay, I'm rooting for you. I hope, like, I wish every African person nothing but success.
Yeah, thank you very much once again. And I want to ask, what part of Africa are you from?
I'm from Congo, Kinshasa. Yeah.
Oh, from Congo. Okay, so what do you speak there? What's your native dialect there?
So I actually was brought up speaking French. So I speak French and English, but my native language is Lingala, and I also speak a little bit of Swahili as well.
Do you speak Lingala?
Yes, I do. I speak Lingala very well.
Very well. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay, so would you speak French or you speak Swahili? Because I don't want you to speak English anymore. We'll be talking with English. So let's come back to our African language. Will you speak Swahili, Lingala, or French to say hello to your fans, to your friends, to family, to your colleagues, your staff, and everyone, and tell them to keep watching Just Africa? Which one?
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I've never been asked that, so I'm actually going to speak it in Lingala. So, because I really do love the language, and it's been slightly lost in the community. So I'm definitely going to speak in Lingala. So, mbote na binonyoso. Naza awa live sur Just Africa, nazo lobela makambo ya entrepreneurship, pe yako banda musala. Na osenga bino nyoso merci, pona nyoso ogozo pianga sur internet, pe na musala o nyoso tozo sala pour na business nanga gael mokoi coaching. Donc nasali interview lelo pour na kolakisa batu musani na salaka. Na na équipe nanga ya 3 personnes. Nga na vanda na Angleterre, mais bango bavanda na Afrique basala nanga. Donc na osenga batu nyoso merci pour na nyoso basali pour nanga pour na bango pepo batinga na émission na bango. Merci.
Yeah, that sounded flawless. I wish I understood every word you said there, but that was beautiful. Thank you once more for coming on the show. And I hope when we reach out to you another time, you'll be available to join us again.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, we've had this conversation on SMEs, how they can move from strategy to results. And Mokoi from Manchester, who is an African from Congo, has given us some beautiful insights on how to achieve those goals. But right now, we'll go on this quick break. And when we come back, the second segment of Just Africa will continue. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Some people hear the sound of wood being cut and they think stress, dust, wahala. They say, I beg, who won't suffer with saw and hammer? To them, woodworking is messy, tiring, and just not worth the trouble. But others, they see something else. They see polished tables, handcrafted shelves, stylish tools. They see beauty, value, and serious money. Because yes, cutting wood may be tough, but the hustle can turn into pure profit. My name is Grace Komolafe. Welcome to Cash Craft, where we show you how every skills can become money-making ventures. Today, we are talking woodworking, from basic tools to beautiful designs, and how to turn timber into treasure. Now, let's cut into it. Step 1, pick your project. Before you saw your first board, ask yourself, what do you want to build? Furniture, shelves, decorative wall panels, or maybe customized kitchen boards. Start small, a simple stool or bookshelf can teach you the basics and still fetch good money. Let's move to step 2. Tools, timber, and a plan. You don't need a massive workshop to start. Basic tools like a measuring tape, handsaw, drill, clamps, and sandpaper will do. Choose durable wood like teak, mahogany, or poplar for long-lasting products. And don't forget the blueprint. Sketch a project or download free woodworking plans online. A clear-cut list saves you time, wood, and costly mistakes. Let's move to step 3. Cut, build, finish. Measure twice, cut once. That's the golden rule. Then assemble carefully. Use wood glue and screws for strong joints. Once it's built, sand smooth and apply a finish, varnish, wax, or paint to protect and beautify. That rustic table or wine rack, it just went from workshop to showroom. Let's move ahead. Step 4. Sell like a pro. Now the magic part is turning your craft into cash. Who is your customer? Young couples, urban decorators, cafe owners. They love custom, handmade, and unique. Use social media to showcase your work. Instagram, Pinterest, and all of that are gold mines for visibility. You can add pricing, yes, delivery info, and behind-the-scenes videos. Look, that's a great catch. You need to let people see your videos where you are doing your work uniquely. That's an addition and validation. Now, want more reach? Yes, attend fairs, pop-up shops, or sell via platforms that you know. A whole lot of them are out there. Let's move to step 5. Stand out to scale. Offer engraving, custom-sized or eco-friendly finishes. Don't just sell a table. Sell a story. Yes, you can see the emphasis. Sell a story. Handcrafted in Ibadan or upcycled from reclaimed wood. People pay more when the product means more. Network with interior decorators, real estate agents, and even planners. Your one shelf may become a hotel's full order. But of course, no business is all smooth wood. Power issues could happen, tool costs, and inconsistent wood supply can slow you down. Still, with skills, strategy, and smart marketing, woodworking can take you from small workshop to a big warehouse. So here is your takeaway. And don't forget to do your proper research, because this is only a heads up, a wake-up call that you can do it. Woodworking is not just craftsmanship, it's cashmanship. It's a business of creativity, precision, and pride. Whether you are making one stool a week or outfitting full apartments, this is a hustle that builds literally. This has been Cashcraft, and I am Grace Komolafe, reminding you that if life gives you timber, turn it into treasure. Until next time, build bold, build smart.
Yeah, welcome back to the second segment of Just Africa on SOUQ News Television. Please do to follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV, and ensure to subscribe to the Just Africa show on our YouTube channel. So Africa contributes the least to global carbon emissions, yet suffers some of the harshest consequences, like floods that displace communities, droughts that threaten food security, rising temperatures that affect livelihoods. But in the middle of these challenges, something powerful is happening. Young Africans are not waiting for permission. They are organizing clean-up campaigns, building climate tech startups, educating rural communities, and advocating policy reforms, and of course creating local innovations that respond directly to the realities around them. This is grassroots action, community-driven, locally informed, and deeply personal. And it is being led by a generation that understands both the urgency of the crisis and the power of collective action. So we ask again, why are youth-led solutions critical to Africa's climate future? What makes grassroots action more sustainable than imported models? And how can governments, institutions, and investors better support the young change makers already doing the work? Because the future of Africa's climate resilience may not be decided only in conference halls. It may be shaped in classrooms, local communities, innovation hubs, and village squares. We'll go on this quick break, and when we come back, we will be coming with our guests. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
From Dubai to Lagos, Nigeria, and across the globe, SOUQ News TV is your #1 station focusing on business, economy, and development. With global digital reach, we connect Africa's pulse to the world stage. Welcome to SOUQ News Television, and here we go beyond the headlines. From breaking news, in-depth conversational programs, to market analysis and indices. From policies affecting growth to unique documentaries, from live event coverage to bespoke productions, we deliver content that connects you to the world. At SOUQ News Television, we provide news surrounding business, economy, and development, infomercials and jingles that stand out, short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards, independent production spaces with full technical support, special coverage for individual and corporate events, a special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it, and business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQ News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited, also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano, and Emirate News Television Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQ News TV, your home for business, economy, and development.
Egypt is a living museum where the past and present come together in a remarkable dance, and it is more than simply a nation. Egypt, which is well known around the world for its pyramids, pharaohs, and the magnificent Nile, is still transforming its rich historical legacy into a vital source of economic expansion and pride in the country. Egypt is a vibrant African country that is leveraging its historical heritage, tourism, the Suez Canal, agriculture, and a growing digital economy to drive its future. Let's start with tourism, which continues to be Egypt's most valuable economic driver. Egypt is home to more than 1/3 of the world's antiquities, and Cairo, Luxor, Aswan, and Alexandria welcome millions of visitors each year. Beyond its aesthetic value, the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Valley of Kings, and the soon-to-open Grand Egyptian Museum serve as economic hubs that support employment, foreign exchange, and Egypt's place on the world cultural map. Egypt has recovered quickly despite international disturbances like the COVID-19 epidemic, with current tourism receipts surpassing $13 billion. However, as visitors awe at history, international trade passes via Egypt's Suez Canal, one of the most important sea lanes in the world. The canal is a vital bypass for international commerce, connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea across a distance of 193 kilometers. Suez Canal tolls brings in billions of dollars for Egypt each year, more than $9 billion in 2023 alone, making the canal more than simply a historical site. It is a vital component of international trade. The Suez Canal Economic Zone, a center for commerce, logistics, and industry, was likewise fueled by the canal. Agriculture comes next, especially near the Nile. Important products including wheat, rice,
cotton, and dates are grown in the lush Nile Valley and Delta. Citrus fruits, particularly oranges, which are highly sought after in Europe and the Middle East, are among Egypt's biggest exports worldwide. Innovations in irrigation and climate-smart farming are growing, and agriculture still contributes to national food security and rural lives. Infrastructure and energy are also changing quickly. By exporting liquefied natural gas to Europe and other countries, Egypt has established itself as a new energy center in Africa and the Mediterranean. This change includes the Zohr gas field, one of the biggest in the Mediterranean. In addition, Egypt is developing smart cities, high-speed rail, and new administrative capitals, while investing in solar energy through initiatives like the Bendon Solar Park, Africa's largest. Not to be overlooked is Egypt's creative economy. The film industry in Cairo is sometimes referred to as the Hollywood of the Arab world, and pop culture in North Africa and the Middle East has long been influenced by the Egyptian literature, music, and television. Young Egyptian creatives are already establishing new industries such as tech companies and fashion. Thanks to the growth of social media and digital storytelling, Egypt has geopolitical weight due to the advantageous location at the intersection of Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Its position as a continental power is further supported by its participation in peacekeeping missions, commercial agreements such as COMESCA and the African Continental Free Commercial Area AFCFTA, and regional diplomacy. However, the way Egypt skillfully combines innovation with tradition is what really makes it stand out. It is one of the few African countries where a more than 5,000-year-old civilization still shapes its economy and reputation outside. Egypt continues to leverage its history to forge a strong and aspirational future, whether it's a software entrepreneur in Cairo, or a relic in a museum, or a ship across the Suez. This is Just Africa, and I am Chike Okolo.
Yeah, welcome back to Just Africa on SOUQ News Television. So our guest, Akelo Patience, is SDG champion in Uganda, a climate activist, human rights and disabilities inclusion advocate, a founder, Catalyst Crest Foundation. Patience represents a new generation of African climate leadership rooted in lived community realities. From founded the Keeping Gulu City Clean campaign to collaborating with local authorities on waste management and now leading the Catalyst Crest Foundation, her work spans climate justice, human rights, inclusion of marginalized groups, mental health, menstrual health, and gender-based violence prevention. Her journey from high school activism to national recognition as an SDG Girls Champion offers a grounded lens on what works, what breaks, and what young Africans need to move from activism to systems impact. Hello, Patience. Welcome to Just Africa.
Thanks so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes, please.
Yeah, welcome to Just Africa. How is Uganda today?
Uganda is cold, and it's okay. That's why I'm putting on sweater.
Okay, all right, so let's have our conversation. When we say grassroots climate action, what does that mean in practical terms within the Uganda communities?
In the context of Uganda, the grassroots climate action, this is whereby youth or the change makers, the climate advocates and activists are coming on board to come up with organizations, civil society, organizations and other avenues or initiatives to go on ground to the indigenous communities to work with the people in the community, literally, to create awareness through advocacy, cleanup drives, and tree planting campaigns, school outreach programs, so that they can try their best to equip these people in the community, these ones who are not aware of the knowledge, they don't know anything about climate, so that they can join in the drive as we work hand together to combat climate change, because it's now a human rights crisis since it is in the inquiry.
Okay, so why do you believe solutions designed at the community levels are often more effective than policies designed from a distance?
Well, first of all, it is about the needs assessment. When we go on ground to work with these people in the community, that we are actually engaging them in decision making. So we are going to work knowing what they really need. Sometimes the policy designs, they're restricted. Sometimes it is on assumption, and sometimes they're on research, which are done way back. But when you go to the grassroots communities, to these indigenous communities, and reach out to these people, you are going to work with them following the problem which is current, a barrier that they are actually, that's something that is really affecting them. And something which is current and something that should really be addressed so that they are not hindered or the barrier is capped so that they can continue moving ahead.
Okay. So how do you know what these communities need? Because it says maybe the policies made from a distance, they are made based on assumptions or research that are still now. How do you know that, okay, this particular community, this is what they need?
Well, let me say, taking a close look at the recent cleanup drive we had, the Keep Clean, Keep Green initiative that took place on the 7th February, the other Saturday there, we went on ground. We worked with the community members and we asked them through interviews.
Okay.
On ground, on paper, we know this and this is actually, they're saying people they have given you dustbins, people are supposed to dispose of the waste. Then they told us that those are things which are on the papers. When you take a close look, and you move in front of the shops, you go to this market, there are no clear strategies, there are no work plans, there's nothing which is actually being done. People are singing, the government is trying, yes, but the policymakers, the leaders are not trying to implement this. So when we go on ground and we work hand in hand with these people, we actually get to know the barrier that they are getting on top of the policies that have been driven and put on paper. There is having the policy and there is also implementing the policy. So I feel like we have the things, we have the research, we have everything, but they're not being implemented. And the voices of the people in the local communities are not being heard. So it is only these grassroots, these youth-led initiatives that are helping to bridge that gap.
Can you mention one of those policies that are on papers that you think the government or the policy makers are not implementing?
Well, number one, we have a lot of things. They say there is money for waste management. There is money that has been allocated for, monitoring and sorting out this garbage here. But to realize there is a lot of littering. There are people are littering, and when you find out, you even try to question these government officials. Why is it that this and this is not happening? I'm seeing a lot of waste has been dumped there, and it has taken time. Well, that is actually being done because the people here have actually failed to understand what. So you understand that the problem is not the community members, but the problem is coming from up. So when these community leaders try their best and act, they get up, they rise from the comfort zones, I might say, things are going to change because it is becoming like we have things on paper, but what is happening on the actual ground is a different story.
Okay, so when you say waste management, how do you mean? Because in some part of Africa right now, Waste management involves putting plastics together and converting them into something else. Putting cartons together and converting them into something else. Those are ways of managing some waste products in some parts of Africa like Nigeria right now. Is it applicable to Uganda? Do you do that? How do you manage your waste there?
Well, that is an amazing question. In Uganda, we have different initiatives, and we have NEMA. They are actually protecting the environment. That is, let me say, the forest, the green cover, the wetlands, and they also see that people shouldn't dispose this plastic or the waste into the wetlands. That is what they are actually doing. So as community members, when we talk about wetlands or the grassroots communities, waste management means collecting collecting rubbish, different type of rubbish. Let me say these ones that they can degrade, those ones that they don't. Let me say the plastic, the polythenes, and then they are sorted later on. After sorting them, then the ones which are like plastics, they are put aside and then upcycled. We have a lot of initiatives in Uganda, like we have Takataka in Gulu. They upcycle plastic, they come up with flower vessels, they come up with dustbins. We also have schools through the new lower secondary curriculum of Uganda. We have a lot of projects that are actually being implemented from waste. Like, yeah, you see, they're making dustbins, they're making plate stands out of the plastic. So that is another innovation that is helping us in Uganda here to reduce on waste. People take soda, people take water, and then they know they're supposed to dispose it here because the plastics are going to be needed afterwards. While these ones here that they can decompose, people are using them, the farmers, through like the awareness question and some of the education they have received. They're trying to decompose these things, help and apply them in their gardens as fertilizers, the compost. So that's how in Uganda we are trying to, play along with the waste that can decompose and these other ones here, like the kitchen refuse. So literally, that's how we are managing it. We are trying to come up, innovate something out of it, and we see how we can play around and make some good money for sustaining our livelihoods through the waste we have.
Okay, yes, let's talk about keeping Gulu City clean. That is one thing, one campaign that you're championing right now. I don't know if it's right now or it's something, but because I know about the other way you're working on right now. So when you started keeping Gulu City clean, what were some of the challenges you encountered, especially from the community leaders?
Well, first of all, that keeping Gulu City clean, it was launched in 2023. It was launched in 2023, and it was, first of all, let me start by telling you the reason as to why we came up with this. It was after a boot camp for the Pearl of Africa Civic Engagement, where we were trained like as youth, we are supposed to know our roles as citizens. Sometimes ourselves that what has the country done, but we forget that we also have roles to play in our different societies. So that is why we came up with that Keep Gulu City Clean and Green campaign to challenge the people that as youth, we are not problems in the society. We are actually assets. So when we are at home, let me say for holidays, these youth here, they're actually going to do wonders. They're going to do good things in the community that is going to help in the community development instead of deteriorating, like let me say, the environment. So when we came up with that initiative, we approached the RCC, that is the Resident City Commissioner, Mr. Peter Banya. We went and shared the idea with him. We're like, well, sir, we have received some training, but we want to implement it in actual ground now. We want to apply the knowledge, we want to transform this knowledge. Me?
Yeah, hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, are you getting me?
Yes.
So we share the idea and said we want to apply the knowledge we have learned into real life. We want to apply it. And then we came up with that Keep Gulu City Clean and Green campaign that, created awareness locally and also sparked some good impact. So it was so easy for us to approach the leader, and that leader helped us. We started going for radio talk shows, started going for interviews, and yeah, the leaders were really supportive in Gulu City. I should give them like some good rating on that. So that's where the project was successful. However, the challenge we encountered was, number one, we are using some of those pace setters, like the children or the students we participated with in the boot camp. So their parents became somehow inquisitive. Now, these children here, are they being paid? Why are you people calling them all the time in the name of sustainability? You want to make the project to continue running, but we are seeing like you guys are using our children. You're supposed to start paying them some money. And literally, this was the idea we came with as citizens or the youth. So these people, like let me say the Gulu City Council, they didn't have any plan for that. They didn't have any money for funding this project here, like to give us and secure it and give these children here. So at some point, the number started dropping, and somehow I should say the project almost collapsed. And that's why after now securing some, getting to know more knowledge on how to handle projects and what, I decided to register Catalyst Crest Foundation and revive that project as Keep Green project under Catalyst Crest Foundation. But it's just a pickup of the Keep Gulu City Clean that was launched previously in 2023.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you know, you're very young doing this, like you rightly said, and I agree with you. It's a youth-led campaign. So, and when it has to do with the youth, there are so many misconceptions when it's consensus. So what are the biggest misconceptions about youth-led climate movements in Africa?
Well, there are lots of misconceptions, yes. Sometimes, let me say, as a girl, it is also hard sometimes because when you're driving a project, sometimes you need to collaborate with a lot of these other initiatives who are doing the same thing. So you realize that there's a lot of things. As a girl, it's also vulnerable. So some of the men you approach in the offices, they will look at you in this different perspective, not for the business you're going for. That is one. Secondly, when you are trying to advocate and you want to bring others on board, they will ask for the financial perspective, like aspect of it more. How much are you paying me? Like, you want me to volunteer? Am I volunteering? Am I coming? What will I use for transportation? Like, you need to give me some money to secure me some upkeep. So literally, there's nothing for free. That is another thing that it is like a challenge, I should say. And then sometimes also people feel like it is age that leads, but age is not that big. It's about the knowledge you have. So like me, some feel like I'm so young, but when they see the outcome of the things I'm doing, that's when they feel like, yeah, I think I'm dealing with the right person. Age is just a number.
Okay, but Patience, have you at any point in time, have you experienced this thing whereby people feel you're doing this because of the money you want to extort from individuals, from communities, or maybe from the government? They tell you, youth, all they care about is how to extort money. Did you ever encounter that, or have you ever encountered that?
Yes, I have ever.
Okay, tell us the experience.
Okay, normally sometimes, I'm going to talk in the perspective of someone, let me say like using you for the knowledge you have. Are you getting me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, like sometimes because you have the energy, you really want to drive the thing so seriously, you're really so passionate about it. I want this activity to actually go, it should go like notice. Then you realize that there is this other person who is having a different motive and is coming to actually turn the entire thing so that they are the ones who get the visibility. Like, yeah, this person actually participated in it, but this is actually my thing. It's just the owning of the idea. Some people turn your thing into theirs, so it takes away the morale, and you feel like, oh, what is this? And surprisingly, some are even the government officials who have actually shown maybe interest because, and you end up disclosing everything to them because they're going to help you out because they have some financial support, and being a young person, you don't have the fundings and everything. So I think that is something I've literally faced so seriously, and but I feel like each and everything I go through gives me another lesson, and I go ahead because it's all about exposure and experience.
Okay, so growing up in Uganda, what climate realities did you personally witness that shaped your activism? Because your activism didn't just start now, it has been there for a while. So what was that climate reality that shaped your mindset?
Okay, well, that one climate activity that shaped my mindset is deforestation. Northern Uganda I come from the northern part of Uganda, Gulu. So,
hello, Patience. Are you there? Okay, Patience is experiencing some internet glitch, and I believe she's going to come back because she's telling us about her experience in Uganda, that climate realities that shaped her mindset. And of course, she is recognized by the Uganda government as someone among the, is it the top 100 young ladies that are doing amazingly well in Uganda. These are many more she's going to open her eyes to. This is just Africa. We travel from one country to another. We are not tied up to Nigeria, but we'll go on this quick break. And when we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello, Lagos. Make we yarn.
Hello, boy, if this POS matter, don't pass joke. Person go swipe, alert no enter. Before you know it, jump.
Wait, wetin really happen?
Maybe you fake alert the warriors.
Okay, so wanna listen, If you dey do POS business, no expose your alert.